Hi, welcome to Fashion Riley. I'm Riley. Today I'm having a lemon drop martini and I'm super excited to talk about today's video. We're gonna look at one of my all-time favorite brands, Saint Laurent. I'm gonna tell you a story. So we're gonna tell a story about reimagining a brand's legacy. So we're going to dive right in. This is what happens when a designer dismantles the legacy of one of fashion's most iconic names, Saint Laurent, and rebuilds the brand in the image of peak rock star coolness. So in case you couldn't guess, this is going to be the story of Hedi Slimane's radical transformation at the helm of Saint Laurent. A turning point for not just the house itself, but for the entire luxury fashion industry. Let's start with Hedi's arrival at the house. So it's 2012. Hedi Slimane, he returns to fashion after let's call it a creative break. So before his reigns at Saint Laurent, he had a really well-renowned, widely recognized reputation due to his creative time at Dior Homme. So in the early 2000s, he was the creative director for Dior Homme, which is the menswear line. And during his tenure, he really revolutionized menswear. He created these like ultra slim, tailored silhouettes, these like really androgynous pieces, which was kind of just like a rejection of the 90s and the 80s like bulky power suits. It's like he created this brand new silhouette and redefined how men dress. And Karl Lagerfeld, he famously credited Hedi Slimane's aesthetics for inspiring him to have his dramatic weight loss. So, if someone like Lagerfeld will speak highly of you, you're pretty much cemented on the fashion map. So Hedi decides he decides to come back from fashion. He comes back from his hiatus. His time away is over, and he comes to Saint Laurent, and he is here to change things up. He's here to make some noise, right? So during this time, he wanted to be not only the creative director, but he wanted full creative control over the house. So and this meant the branding, campaigning, the photography, the boutiques. I don't know how true this is, but I read that he even wanted to design the branded shopping bags that, are inside the boutique. And in a classic Hedi Slimane manner, his boldest creative change was he dropped the Yves. So it was Yves Saint Laurent. Now, no Yves, just Saint Laurent. If you remember my previous episode where we talked about Celine, it was Hedi Slimane that dropped the accent over the E in Celine. So, we're kind of starting to see a trend. We'll call it a trend. Okay. So Slimane's vision was unapologetically modern. It was deeply personal to him. He rejected this like the soft glamour of the Yves archives, the really like 70s, 80s aesthetics of like glamour, and he wiped it all out. He replaced it with something a lot younger, darker. Like basically think LA nightlife. Underground bands, this like youth rebellion, a juvenile romantic chaos. Like picture messy eyeliner and leather jackets. It's like his muses weren't these like aristocrats and these fashion icons. He found the beauty in these musicians and these models and kind of these like people that you wouldn't normally pick as a muse. Slimane changed the way that we viewed the Saint Laurent woman, who was traditionally known as like a quaint, very classic Parisian. Now the Saint Laurent woman is like this rebellious spirit in a leather jacket. So during the time, the critics were questioning, if Slimane is getting too far away from Yves' legacy. And Slimane noted that he's just trying to reinterpret the brand through the lens of now, like the lens of modernity. So from the beginning of his appointment, it's like these critics were divided. So some of them thought his collections were repetitious, they were reductive. One Vogue editor called it a parade of mini dresses and skinny suits. I mean, that sounds like an awesome party. I would love to go and see, you know, mini skirts and skinny suits. You really can't go wrong. Where was I going? I lost my train of thought. Okay, here we go. So other critics, they saw like the brilliance of it, right? They saw the highly curated personal branding. They saw like the really magnetic identity, really, that the brand had come to cultivate. So Slimane, he had a truly, like, a crystal clear vision of who his consumer is, what her lifestyle is, what their fashion choices are, how they live their life. And it's like he was able to cultivate this brand distinctive personality. Saint Laurent basically, under Slimane, it wasn't just outfits, it wasn't just clothes he was making, it was like he created a full identity. It's like wearing the clothes is like stepping into a character. You're becoming somebody that's like cool and edgy and grungy, but you kind of still have this like this dark glamour about you. So when Saint Laurent left in 2016, it's like it was kind of just like, okay, I'm done, thank you. Like there was no, you know, farewell rollout tour. There was no last huge statement. It was kind of just like okay, thank you for my time. Gonna go to Celine now, you know, drop the accent on the E. But it's like he really created the blueprint for what creative designers can do at the houses for the 21st century. Like he really set that precedence of like, you don't have to be afraid of just doing exactly what the original designer did. You can kind of reinterpret it and make it your own, and like you can kind of challenge these ideas of what the fashion house is supposed to stand through. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of like, you know, the most like sacred question of fashion history. It's like, do you preserve the legacy, meaning you imitate the original designer, or do you reinterpret it with the new creative director at appointment? And I feel like before his before his time at Saint Laurent, that was a really big question that hadn't quite been answered yet. So he kind of was a trailblazer in that sense, that he really paved the way for what the future of creative directors is going to look like. And I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, I know a lot of people are not controversial, but a lot of people, you know, don't love his work. And I think I'm like 100% like Hedi Slimane, like 100% love him. I feel like a lot of people like love him or hate him, and I know for a fact I'm 100% in the like love him camp. He can do like no wrong in my eyes. I think all his aesthetics, everything he makes, like he is so insanely talented at this idea of like world building. Like his designs, kind of like Galliano, like it's like a fairy tale. It's kind of like a make-believe. Like his designs are a costume that you're putting on to tell the world, this is who my character is and this is my identity, you know, and the world can address you as such. So I think his time at Saint Laurent was just insanely inspiring and revolutionary. That's pretty much it. That's all I got today. That was my short little fashion history read. I hope that you enjoyed. How cute are these? I just had to put these in the frame. I made these little flower arrangements. So fun. This is like a little baby one. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.